Welcome to another Wednesday Toast. This is another edition of the Wednesday Toast Collector Support Group from yours truly, Simon Toast. Today, I've brought in one of my turtle bros. He's a big deal. He's part of Behind the Plastic. That's a YouTube series. If you haven't seen, you got to check out. It's toy photographers interviewing toy photographers for about 12 minutes. I think 12 minutes on the dot, which is not a lot of time investment. So you really got to check it out. They're great short episodes and they really get in depth just to know about toy photographers, some of their process, and just know about them personally. So, TMNT 1987, if you want to introduce yourself a little bit and tell the people who you are.
I was honestly just gonna let it be like dead silent and have you like think that something went wrong with the audio, but I wasn't gonna. I like changed my mind. So what Simon is failing to mention is that he's almost like a honorary fifth member because he's like covered for us a couple times already. Um, and that's why he said all these nice things because it's like who watches this crap, you know?
Well, yeah, same could be said about this
Thank you, Simon.
podcast. Uh, yeah, I would say if I'm the fifth member, I'm like Venus. It's like I'm there, but nobody really wants me there. But I'm.
This is not true. We need a little southern flavor. It's like a different. The dish is flavored a little differently when you're on. Like people have the. We're like the original threes, like the cheese pizza. You know, and then when like we're missing, and Ben comes in with his Virginia goof, then it's like, oh, now you're eating mushroom pizza.
Okay.
And then like you're like the pepperoni. So we love you,
I'll
son.
I'll say for if we're doing southern flavor, then I've got to be the jalapenos, right?
Yeah, or
It's
some
like
like barbecue
whatever.
sauce thing.
Yeah, there you go. So today we just wanted to talk a little bit about. So last time I got on a rant about vendor exclusive figures, which is an annoyance to all collectors, I believe. I don't know anyone who's really into that. But today we kind of wanted to talk about the different kind of collectors. Jay and I differ in a few different ways, and I know that within the groups that we're in, there are people that are uh, even more invested in toys than we are. So, yeah, we just kind of wanted to get into that today. I know it's kind of a strange topic, and you're usually here for comic books, but you're here for toys today. So, whatever.
Right.
Um, so let's talk a little bit about okay, before the show started, we were talking a little bit about this thing, Holothon. This is still happening. for those for those that listened to the last collectors support group, I was complaining about this Holothon thing, which officially has started now. It started today for in-store, even though people were getting products like 2 weeks ago, and Friday will be the official online launch. And so we were specifically talking about this 2-pack of figures. It's a Samurai Michelangelo and a Space Donatello, which is like pretty highly sought after this Punk Turtle. So, tell me a little bit about what you were thinking about that, Jay. Kind of continue that thought.
So it's hard for me to believe that that is a less demanded item. So I don't it just might be like a weird like timing thing because you know how things have been delivered in like waves, how like wave one was like the Mikey and like the standalone and then like wave two, and this might have been like some kind of like third wave or something because I do recall this being like a thing from last year, and like this like in foot enforcer that seems to be like its own, that might have been like part of like wave three.
Mm-hmm.
But as far as like not being able to like find one of these things, um, yeah, man, I don't know. And like to your point that it's officially started now, right? I I don't know. I don't know how we can quote unquote buy these things, before like a street date or something like I know like there's so now is like the official street date, right? Like, and
Yeah.
not even, I think it's like 4/8 or 4/7 or 4/8 4/7, whatever the case might be.
Yeah. Four
And
seven
obviously,
today.
and I know people, I mean, I've had stuff for a week, 2 weeks, like you've had stuff for a couple weeks. So
Hmm.
I don't know if NECA cares. I don't know if NECA cares.
No.
I don't know if Target cares, because you know why? We buy it.
Right.
And whether, one person buys everything, which is virtually impossible, or whether everyone gets a share, it doesn't matter because it sells, right?
Hmm.
Um, this kind of reminded me of, remember when PlayStation 5 came out and there was a
Hmm.
lot of people who scalped them? So the reason that hurt Sony, for example, is because, their model, you're not only buying hardware in the system, but you also have to buy software. So think about
Right.
it. If I'm a scalper and if I have 100 systems bought, and they're sitting, that is 100 systems that are not purchasing software. So it's like for NECA, it's like fine. I like it doesn't, like we're offering them online to you guys. Like there's only so much, I guess, that obviously there's stuff that needs to be fixed, but should they fix it in like the grand scheme of things? I know for us, like it's a very annoying, it's a little exciting, it's a little annoying that we have to like hunt for these things. But could we wait for the online drops? Could we wait? It's just like who we are, I guess. Like we want the new stuff like now, and especially this IP,
Hmm.
you know. So I don't know.
I think that has something to do with, as photographers, we want the latest and greatest because we don't want to come up with an idea and then, because inevitably someone's going to have that idea or a variation of it, right? So you want to get it out first, or at least in my case. And then I think too, it's just about being able to feature that thing, which is kind of
I
part of the
think
first.
I think that one is more important. So I was honestly thinking about the number one point you had. I think the hobby that we're in, I'd say for the most part, I don't know. You might rebut this point, but for the most part, I think people who do our hobby are insanely creative.
Hmm.
Insanely creative. Again, for the most part.
Right. Yeah.
And I think we should do an experiment one time with our turtle group. The theme is blank. All the photos are going to be vastly different. And this is why I don't really think it's the idea. Like some are so basic where like I don't even like I don't want to touch it. So for example, like Casey did the best, like I don't know, was it Kino hitting the bag or kicking the bag or
Yeah.
that whole thing, right?
Yeah.
It's like when it comes packaged like that, it's almost like on a tee for you. This is
Right.
the shot. But I don't even want to do that one because again, like you're gonna see it like 50 times. But when you get like a pack of 2, 4 things and it's very like ambiguous on like how you can use it, there isn't a slam dunk, there isn't a home run shot you can take. This
For
is where
all
I
those, sorry, I have to interrupt. For all those that can't see this, he said slam dunk and then he hit the ball with the bat.
yeah, yeah, yeah.
It's just fantastic. Um,
But you see what I'm trying to say though. Like I think some of these packs are so like ambiguous where I don't think there's like the Mikey and the space one, right? There's just
mhm.
so many ways that you can, versus the Kino and the bag. That's just
Yeah.
like screaming, "Hey, punch!" And especially if it comes on the box, like you turn around the box, and it's like, "Oh, he's kicking the bag. I better do this shot," you know. So I I really do think it's the I want this new thing because
Yeah.
we can talk more about it, but it's like the collecting stuff is and I'm very mixed on how I feel about it because we have like looking at you have more. If they literally said today we're not making a single toy for the rest of your existence, you have more than enough. And it's like same thing for me. Do we like need like more stuff?
No, and I would say that's just a human thing in general is to collect. You know, especially for me when before I collected toys, I would go and buy a movie every week. I would just go and buy a movie, and then before that, it was like video games. I would, or maybe vice versa. I would just go buy a video game that I kind of wanted when I. That's the way I spent my time. Um, and now because toys are part of what I like to do as a hobby, as far as like the photography part. I can't stop myself from like wanting to. Oh, you know, I could get that for this, or I could do that for this. But yeah, it's it's a thing. But you know, specifically about this 2 pack. Well, first of all, for the first point, so that's why I haven't really shot that Kino is because it is like he's limited like his kickboxing outfit. Um, and so I'm like, it's already been done a million times, way better than I could do it. I'll figure out what I could do with Kino.
No,
And I'm
Casey
always,
has shot that, and that's it. No, and I've seen so many like that. I think Ben did like a good one too. But
yeah.
other than that,
Well, you did a good one.
stop. No, I didn't do him kicking. Like I did Raph punching the bag.
I thought you also did. Well, either way, that was a
No,
good
no,
use
no.
of the bag anyway.
Yeah, yeah. Like I had the turtle with the angry face punching, and like Kino's behind him, like laughing or
That's it.
something.
Yeah, that's it.
But no one should do that shot ever again. Like that, like it's over.
For those wondering, when we talk about Casey's warrior underscore Evans on Instagram. So if you're not following, follow him. He's really, really talented. Um, so yeah, that's part of the reason why I haven't shot that. And I always feel a little hamstrung by movie properties anyway, because they're kind of exactly the way they were in the movies. I'm like, I don't know. I have difficulties there, which is why I usually like animated stuff or you know non kind of like not really licensed figures. They kind of help me break out of that. But so we were talking about this 2 pack and how we haven't seen a lot of shots of it. Like people are getting these,
Hmm.
but we're not seeing any shots. And I had mentioned scalpers, and you said, you know, a lot of people that are in this game don't they're not going to fall for it, right? But to that counterpoint, or to a counterpoint to that, is like, is this like I need it now kind of mentality? So I've seen people go for those. I've seen them sell, you know, on eBay. So, I mean, like, what do you think about that? Like, what is it about needing it now that would make somebody spend an extra $100 on something like that?
So spend an extra $100. I don't. So there is the convenience fee of stuff. You know, we play this AliExpress game. It's like,
Hmm.
yeah, can I pay $8 more to have it now? Sure. $100 more?
Nah.
Like, I I really want to meet like some of these people in like real life. Like when the punk turtles came out, like it was like a day someone had them and eBayed them and just sold for like $300. Like I want to meet this person. Like,
Yeah.
is this a real person, or did someone just do like, hey, can you bid on this so I can relist it or something?
Yeah. I mean, that being said, so we're this Holothon stuff, we did get it in my store finally, even though the guy did said we didn't. And you talk about like Target not caring and NECA not caring. I asked him about it a couple of days after because I was like, did they even put the turtles out? Because I see the tags. And he was like, dude, I didn't even know this was over here. I was looking for the NECA stuff for you. I didn't even know they put it over here. He scanned the tags and he's like, all the inventory is like -2, -3, because no one ever inventoried it. They didn't like scan it into the system. So it just shows a negative. And he was like, when have you been here last? And I was like, dude, I've been coming every day looking for this stuff because I'm so anxious about it. I said, I went Tuesday night, nothing. I go Wednesday. I couldn't go Wednesday morning because I had an obligation like right at work pretty early. And then I get there in the afternoon and it's all the turtle stuff is gone. Like if there was a 4-pack, it's gone. All the individuals were gone. All they had left was a Kirby, a Baxter, the Enforcer, the Elite Guard, which I got, and then 1 foot, and that's it. Because they only sent like 2 of each to each store. But if they had that Samurai Mikey or whatever, again, who knows who's buying those? But to that point is like one of our guys, Toy Mirth, in our group, um, I paid him like an extra $20 to ship that 4-pack to me because I was like, if I try to get it online, it's most likely going to sell out or something. He's there right now. I might as well just get it. I already bought some other stuff from him. He can just pack it all in a box. So I was lucky there. But yeah, I mean, I am guilty of being one of those people, but not like $100
No, no, no.
more.
Again, man, like your case is a little different considering that you're in this. There's like a Target neck by you, and everyone has like the fear of what happened with the baby turtles last year when it
Yeah,
sold out for a second, and then the only time you could actually get them was wait until December, when then they're like, oh, we'll make a little more.
right.
So, no, I think your thing is warranted, but like I'm not like I don't have it, and I'm not like panicking. Like I passed initially. I passed on the Baxter
Oh
because
yeah,
there was like this one dude behind me, and I'm like, what do you which one do you need? He's like, I need that one. I'm like, oh, here you go, take it, because I knew if like I'll get it in a week, 10 days. Like they'll do a restock and like it'll be out. Like the Samurai thing, like it's gonna be out. Like it's not like it's that like that set is not like it looks great. Like I would have anticipated the punk turtles to be more rare, right?
yeah.
Um, the other thing that I was thinking about when thinking about these like drops, like these almost like shock drops. So I wonder. So you said scalpers, right?
Hmm.
Um, I think it would be, and again, there's a limit of two when you buy something online. So now I think I'm fighting my own point, but I'm thinking about the sneaker community. So the
Hmm.
sneaker community, like the populate, like how popular Jordans became and all this. So it was like I wore Jordans in like the early 2000s, and that was like, oh my god, you're so ghetto. Oh my god, you're so ghetto. Wear dress shoes. And I'm just like, no, I like this more. And like towards the middle and to like late 2000s, it became like part of like pop culture and like a normalization thing. Like everyone's supposed to have just that like one pair of Jordans at least that kind of look like some dunks, like bare
Hmm.
minimum. Like that's what you need to. And then like dress shoes were like frown, like that's not swag, or like that's not cool. And then it kind of like became, I don't know, just like sneakers just kind of exploded. They started making them in all colors, right?
Hmm.
But the other thing that happened, they were like widely available. You can honestly go to a store and get a pair of shoes. And then they like went to this limited model where there's like only two doors you can buy sneakers from. So it's like you got to go through this sneakers app, which you literally like say, okay, please, I'm entering a raffle for you to pick me so I can give you money.
Yeah.
And then like the same thing on like Finish Line and like a couple of these like big retailers. And then like a lot of these bots would eat up all this inventory, which I still think there's a way to get through Target stuff through like these bots or whatever. And you just buy up all the inventory and you sell them on the secondary market for, it's like, oh, people pay $60, $40, 70 bucks. And then just
Yeah.
over time, it just like goes higher and higher. So I was very concerned with the toy market becoming that.
Hmm.
Um, so I think and NECA might be savvy in doing the shock drops. Maybe just telling Target, be a little loose with this, because if we drop it online, there could be like five bots that just eat everything up, and it's like we're pissed. So all these like in-person thing, these vendor things, there really are an effective way of keeping scalpers out, because you physically have to go to 8 targets to get maybe everything. Versus online, you do a drop, you get a couple bots in there, and it's like, oh, you bought everything up, now you're selling them for extra $40.
Yeah. Uh,
Oh.
I think on that point there, I know I know some people in my town that are like they do secondary toy sales as their like that's how they make money. And so those people are like going to the store. They're the ones that'll go at 11 o'clock or 10 o'clock or whatever, because that's just they don't have anything else going on at that
Hmm.
time. So I do agree with what you're saying, but I kind of think in some cases it you have to be consistent, which is annoying for me because I don't like being known as a regular in a store, which now they like I walk up to the Starbucks and they know exactly what I'm going to get. And I walk around and I see the guy in the electronics aisle and he's like, "Hey man, no turtles today." And then like I don't like being that guy. We only have one target, so but at any rate, part of this, I keep forgetting the point I was trying to get to, but part of the thing with this Donnie and Mikey is like, because we're the out of box collectors and when we get these things, we want to photo them. We were talking about how we haven't seen any photos of these yet, at least in our circles. So it's kind of interesting. It's like, what is happening with these? Because we see people seeing them in store, we see people buying them.
Yeah,
So like, where are they?
yeah, yeah. I've literally seen like two photos of them, and the two photos are like they're on someone's desk, and then the other photos are like, oh look, it's a box. I purchased it.
Yeah,
So
maybe they suck.
let me ask you. I can I can say for certainty, if I didn't discover this hobby, there's no way I would own 75% of this stuff.
Hmm.
Maybe a little less. Let's call it 65.
Yeah, yeah.
Because it's like it's kind of like this the whole statue thing. So I
uh,
think part of us like part of this like joy of like this psychological thing of like I really believe the more time that you spend with a figure in your hand, observing it from different angles, aka photographing him from different angles, switching out accessories, involving it with other characters. You're effectively playing with toys as an adult
yeah, yeah, yeah.
versus someone who leaves them on the shelf and it's like, okay, it's cool. And all of us have had statues, right? That are just kind of on the shelf. And you're just like, you really get over that like really quickly. You're just like,
Hmm.
all right, oh, okay.
There it is.
At a certain point, you're just like, do I really need an like you're gonna talk yourself out of that one a lot quicker than the one that you're like you have this like I hate to say it, this like intimate almost relation, like you're touching it, you're looking at it, observing it from these different angles, you're kind of appreciating the design, you might have some critiques, and then right, and
Mm.
then the dopamine hit of taking this like awesome photo and then engaging with the community and then talking about it. It's almost like a secondary like wave of like this toy.
Yeah,
And then when you see like the another cool figure like this new M Bison, you're just like, oh my god, like this thing is phenomenal. Like, oh my god, this is a phenomenal toy. Oh my god, I'm gonna photograph it. Oh my god, I have so many ideas on how to use it versus the freaking statue of just
yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
there's no way. There is no way. And again, you can tell me otherwise. I don't know how it is with you. 65% of the stuff I just like you'd be like, do you really need the foot army like to stand there? You really don't, bro. Like give me a
Yeah,
shredder and give me the four turtles, maybe another cool character. Like you're done.
yeah, yeah. So that kind of so part of the thing that we haven't yet to really we've been talking about it, but I haven't really officiated the topic. So we were talking about different kind of collectors. So there's like hobbyist collectors, investment collectors, sentimental collectors, completionist collectors. And we had talked about everything that you just said kind of touches on all of those topics. So like you and I are hobbyist collectors, right? I would say if we had a definition, it would be that. Maybe sentimental as well, as far as turtles are concerned. But
Yeah. Yeah.
um, I agree that I would not have. I have so many figures. I have like 700 something, right? Stupid. Um, but I wouldn't have them if I wasn't taking photos of them. And
Correct.
usually, if they're there for too long, I'll start deciding to get rid of them. The problem is transferring from the shelf to like a box. I'll start messing with them, and I'm like, nah, this is cool. Like you said, I'm getting that joy of messing around with the figure, and I'm like, "Ah, this is still
Yeah.
cool.
Yeah.
Maybe I'll take a picture of it. You know,
No, no,
uh,
but that's again some sort of like utility. Again, like a statue or like that other inbox collector. What
yeah,
can you do with the damn box? Like you can touch it and like look at it and like, yeah, this is cool. Then you put it away in the closet and then you come, oh yeah, the box. Look at the box. The box. Like there's no like that experience is not different at all. If
yeah,
if you look at a figure 15 different times throughout 6 months, it's going to be slightly different because you can move it. You can switch parts in and out. What is the box thing? So I'm going to say it. Whoever listens to this podcast, if you are a collector, if you're an inbox collector, I'm not sorry for what I'm about to say. Like not even a little. I really, really, really think there's like emotional damage that you're trying to repair with just buying boxes of stuff. I'm so sorry if you think I'm mean. You know I'm not mean, but I'm telling you that is why you're doing it because you don't really like the toys.
yeah.
You
I'm
might like the property. Open the damn box. Open it out of the box.
Yeah. It's like the quote. See, when the year that 40-year-old virgin came out, I had gotten a minor in possession of alcohol, so I lost my license for like 3 months or whatever. I couldn't do anything. It was during the Christmas holiday, but in my freshman year of college.
No, that's
So I
the
could,
time to lose it.
yeah. Well, it was just I couldn't do shit. I couldn't. My friends had to come pick me up and stuff. This is the dumbest thing ever because I didn't even drink anything. They just caught me with a beer bottle near me. Anyway, um, during that time, I watched 40-Year-Old Virgin probably 500 times. And there's a part where he's like, you got to take him out of the box, man. Let it breathe. Play with it a little bit.
Mhm.
And I think about that with action figures because I'm like you. I don't know if people are buying them and keeping them in the box for like the investment, like the idea that it'll be worth something someday.
Sure, if that's your end game, if that's your end game, here's the silly thing. If that is your end game, Simon, aren't there more fucking profitable things you can do to flip like art?
100%. Yeah.
Like like
100%.
like you are not in the right collecting business if that's your goal.
Yeah, you're banking on nostalgia. You're banking on the fact that this might be worth something. Well, I mean, in some cases it's worth something right now. Like the Mesco turtles, people were selling them for $650,
Mhm.
250 over MSRP because people want them right now. So, sure, that's an investment. But I don't know. To me, and I know plenty of people that do that just because they like to have it. I have a friend that collected all Star Wars in box. He just sold his whole collection because I guess he got bored of looking at the boxes. I don't know.
Oh, no shit.
So yeah, he sold, and he would even on that point he would even buy hot toys of Star Wars characters. And when you buy hot toys, 90% of the well, I mean, if you buy it direct, it's going to come in a shipper box, right? Like the Turtle Van did, and it'll just say what's in it, and he won't even open that. He keeps them in the shipper box.
Damn.
To
Damn.
me, I'm
Damn.
like, is that an investment thing, or you just wanted it so bad that I don't know. It's like Schrodinger's cat. When I think of in-box stuff, because I'm like, there could be nothing in that box. It could be filled with dirt,
Mhm.
which was these in-box collectors that were bitching about Hasbro when they moved to the windowless model on their boxes. I was like, you're an in-box collector. Why do you even give a shit?
Doesn't matter. Doesn't matter. Why does articulation matter to inbox collectors or accessories? Why does it
Yeah.
matter?
it's those kind of people that complain about that stuff and leave it in box are the kind of people that are just looking for like internet clout, like something to complain about. But
Bro,
I
there's a
don't know.
stock market for that kind of stuff. Just buy,
Yeah.
if you need to like physically spend money on something, maybe get a certificate back. They don't even like do that anymore, but I think there are ways. Like if you need to give money to give like some kind of physical thing back, and just like, oh, you bought 7 shares of Walgreens stock, and here's like a certificate, right?
Hmm.
And that can be like your box,
Yeah.
right? And you can look at it, and then when it's time to sell, you can easily sell it.
You're right. Yeah. You don't have to look for a market. It's there. The market is there.
It's there.
Uh, yeah.
But there's no shipping.
Yeah, which is always the thing. It's funny how many people, as somebody that'll often like sell things that are open, which is I usually, if it's over $100 in an investment for like one figure, not necessarily turtles, but like imports or whatever, I'll keep the box because I know that that's gonna easier. It's gonna be easier to sell
Yes.
that item
Yeah.
if I still have the box.
Yep.
But it's funny how many people you'll be like, okay, I want like $90. I know that it's used. I've opened it, whatever. And you're like, so is that free ship? And I'm guilty of this too. It's like, so is that shipped? I'm like, sure, whatever. Just buy the damn thing. I'm
Yeah.
tired of
I don't
looking
want
at
it.
it.
Yeah.
But I don't know. It's weird. So one thing I kind of wanted to get into, and specifically why I wanted to talk, well, one, I love talking to you, but is the difference in our collecting. So, you were talking about earlier, like you wouldn't own probably what would you say 60-70% of the stuff that you have if it weren't for the photography hobby. But also you're very selective about what you buy. Tell everybody a little bit about like what things you're into and what you look for when you're buying a toy.
So primarily, um, so like primarily, um, the stuff that I collect is like Ninja Turtle stuff, right? Because I think I bought like the first like adult figures that I bought. Like I saw this stuff on like a GameStop website app, like I don't know, 2018, 2019. I forgot what year it was. And I'm like, why did these look like the costumes? I'm like, this is insane. I'm like, this can't be this good. And it was like, oh, it was like $65. You get two. I was like, yeah, I'll order them. I'm like, worst thing in the world is like I'll have them. They'll be on my shelf, and that's like a thing. I was blown away immediately. But at the time, like my wife and I were living in an apartment, and it was just I'm like, man, this is so cool. And as like you like go to Target, it's like, oh, here's the Toon ones. I'm like, oh my god, they look just like the cartoon, right? So then when we moved, and then like I got, and again, I was a inbox collector specifically because I didn't have any room. So when we
Mhm.
got the house, I wanted like a diorama. I was like, I want a cool way to like display this, because it's like, the shelf is nice, but it's like if you have a dio, it's like super, it's nicer. There's like more to it. And I saw the dio, and I was like I wanna show people how cool this shit is. Like the figures are so cool, the dio is so cool. I want to show it, and that's how I like discovered the hobby. Here's what I learned from the hobby. Uh, you will easily fall into the, oh my god, I'm going to buy this because you have one fucking idea in your head.
Yeah. Yeah.
So when I went to
Mm.
Target yesterday, and I picked up the Enforcer and something else. I saw like a Fast and Furious set. It's just like a little house and like
Mhm.
a car. It's $20. I'm like, oh my god, if I buy like 2 or 3 of these and then just use my crane, it's a giant crane. He's like walking next to these little houses. That's a photo. That's a stupid purchase.
Hmm.
$60 for me to enable myself to take this photo. It's really dumb. And I've done that a couple times. I bought like some Star Wars figures, which I actually gave to Zach and Sully. I just literally gave them away. Um, I am sticking to the stuff that I like. Like really, really like I like Ninja Turtles is my jam. That's what I'm buying. I have a couple of Spider-Man figures and this new like Jada toy Street Fighter line, which is I I don't know. They're definitely like there's definitely some child labor going
Yeah,
on here. For this
they're
price point, like these should be like 37 $40
don't say
like
it
how
too loud. They'll
like
raise the prices.
yeah. And like that is my collection. Like my photography is aimed like my name is TMNT, so it's like that is, and I like blindly love it. Like I
Hmm.
love it. I'm into it. And then like everything, like I said, I really have like I have a rock figure. I have a Razor Ramon figure. I have Biker Mice from Mars, which I just bought one and I got two other ones by mistake. But I like really like that property. Street Fighter, a couple Spider-Man, like that is like I'm looking. I have some GI Joes just as kind of like background characters for stuff. And then like those figures are like they're not even that expensive. Like we're talking
Hmm.
and like some of the Joes that I got I get at my local shop like $16. I go,
Yeah.
oh, okay, it's a Chipotle lunch. Fine. You know, like this Jada Toys is an incredible figure for 25 bucks. So the other side of this, Simon, the dark side, I would be petrified to look at some of these credit card balances and these account balances because
Mm.
this shit can get out of control really fucking fast.
Yeah.
Really fast. Especially if you're buying $100, 150, 200. Oh, this one's only 179.
Yeah,
This one's
that's it.
200. This one is 300. I would be really fucking scared to like look at some of this stuff. If you don't fucking catch yourself, if you don't catch yourself, like it can get because ultimately, man, like we're adults. We really should have other likes too, man. um,
Yeah, I
like
mean,
like some of this like whether that would be music or sports or hanging out with friends, like go to the movie theater once in a while, go to the fuck take a walk.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
I understand. I really like this stuff, but I really like other stuff too. I
Hmm.
I really like other stuff too. So if by some chance you're listening to this and it's like gotten to that point, yo man, slow the fuck down, man. Like slow down. Like have some kind of plan in place to pay off some shit
Yeah.
because I can see like I make a good living and I can see how easily this shit can like get out of control. Like I spent some good money like last year on this stuff, but nothing to the point because you know how like life is, right? It's like oh
Hmm.
something breaks, oh you want to go on vacation, oh you want to blah blah blah, and it's like this like balloon thing. Just be careful when you're like doing this shit, man. Like you can really get it's like oh I'm gonna start collecting a Dragon Ball line. Sure, like the cheapest fucking toys, $40, the cheapest,
Yeah.
the cheapest. And it's like the coolest one is not $40. It's like
It,
140.
the weird thing about, just to get into that, the weird thing about Dragon Ball Z is like it is really accessible. Even like in my opinion, like the best figure they've put out in the last couple of years. Well, two of the best are under $100. So like the Trunks was like 60 something, almost 70, which was high. But then we had like the Max Power Goku from Namek. That shit was less than $60, and in my opinion, that's like the best that they put out. But um, yeah, that's why this is the collector support group, right? Because I think it's important to have somebody like Jay, or myself, or some kind of accountability partner, because when it comes to the especially if you're like a toy photography or a toy photographer for a hobby or whatever, it's so easy to fall into that. Like you said, like, oh yeah, I'll just get this because I've got an idea for this one accessory in there. You
And that's
know,
it.
yeah.
Like it's done. You're never gonna look at it again, right? And again, I told you I've caught myself. But luckily, it was one of those like low entry point like it was like, oh, old Harrison Ford for $16.
Yeah.
So it's like the toy or just collecting and like toy collecting, it's kind of like a double-edged sword. So there's like the financial, like you're putting money in it, but then it's like the space and it's like the physical burden of having this thing. And I'm
Yeah.
like, what do I like? I really don't fucking need this thing. So I literally just shipped the two Harrison Ford, like the Han Solo figures to Zach and Sully. Like I really, again, it was it was like a clearance item for one, and I think I paid the other one was like full price or something, like $25. But and again, let's call that $40-$50 on like literally like I didn't even photograph it. I just thought it was cool, and it was like when like I like literally had it a little, and like I was just like over it, you know. And that told me, like, as much as I love Star Wars, like I'll watch it, I'll watch the shows and stuff, and we'll discuss it, but like I don't love it enough for this. I really feel there's like people that we know, like they'll just buy anything,
Yeah.
and again, I don't know, people deal with stuff. People need comfort with stuff. Like you can never get me. Like I bought two Mythic Legions horses for the purposes of like it's almost like like another character.
Yeah. Yeah.
But I'm not gonna buy knights. I'm not gonna buy skeletons just because it's like it's. So maybe that's a good like segue to the other thing. Um, and I think you mentioned this earlier. It's like you said like I need a non IP like character to like unlock this hobby that I'm doing, right?
Uh-huh. Uh-huh.
And like Casey and I, right? Like I think objectively, the Mesco turtles are the best turtles.
Yeah. I agree.
Like it's objectively like the best like figure of a Ninja Turtle. Like it's not close. Subjectively, is it like to you? And I'm just like, man, those damn movie turtles again, because I just grew up with them, and they're like 1-to-1. They're like identical. Like I can't, and it's like that one has my heart, as in like this is the like this might not be the best one, but it's like my favorite one. It's kind of like that when they do the who's the best player ever. It's like who's your favorite player. It's like yeah, Michael Jordan is obviously but I just love Dennis Rodman. Like that
Yeah.
whole objective versus subjective. So
I
I
don't know if anybody says that though. It's just
what?
Dennis Rodman over Jordan as
No,
their
no, no. I'm
favorite.
saying like there are
I
people
know.
that are like,
I'm
yeah,
just
that's my favorite player.
right. Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
of the way, like back in the day, like, if they're not like hardcore like basketball fans, right? I mean the same thing with like, um it's like who's the best turtle,
Yeah.
or
Yeah.
like
Yeah.
who's
Yeah.
the best Power Ranger? Like is the Red Ranger and the Green Ranger, like are they objectively the best because they're the leader, they're the strongest and all this, right? But then there's people like, man, I just kind of like the Blue Ranger, or I want the Black Ranger, or whatever,
Yeah.
like, oh, I like the axe, and
Black was
whatever
always
the
my
case
favorite.
might be, right?
Yeah.
But I guess just like a long like win, like I'm really tied, and I think that's like my other thing. I'm tied to the IP, like because I found out with the Star Wars stuff, like it's fine. Like when I went to Target the other day, I saw this Mando, and the figure looked great. Like that 25, that like it looks like a new figure, right?
Hmm.
I'm like,
Hmm.
man, this is great. It's got the dark saber. Then I'm like, yeah, what would be cool if I had like baby Mikey as like Yoda, as like Grogu. Like that would just be a cool shot. But I'm like,
Stealing
no,
that idea.
huh?
So stealing that idea.
Take it.
Yeah.
But it's just like I would literally be paying $25 for, like, I'd play with it a little, but I like it's not a thing for me.
Yeah.
So there will be, I'm sure there will be a time where I'll like downsize like some stuff. I'll probably like get rid of some secondary, tertiary characters, and I'll just like keep the court because that's like what I have anyway.
Yeah. Yeah, it's it's funny because I was buying some just on the movie Turtles thing. I was buying some imports. That's when I first started getting back into the hobby. I got married. I was kind of embarrassed of the whole thing, and then I pulled down some old Transformers from my parents' house, and I had all the Beast Wars and stuff. And my wife was like, you could put some of those up if you wanted to put them on a shelf or whatever in the living room. I don't care.
Hmm.
We had a really small house. So I started there, and then I started Googling like shops. That's how I got hooked up with that Xavier Cal shop that's in California. They have an online thing, and they have like wicked sales. So I bought like the Christian Bale SH Figure Arts Batman for like $40 or something, and they had Catwoman, and I bought the Bat Pod in a weekend.
Hmm.
Um, and then I started getting into Amazing Yamaguchi, and then it went on and on. But anyway, I went from that to I had no idea about these turtles either. Like I'd never heard of. I may have had a NECA figure, but I didn't know what it was. I was just like, oh, that's cool. I like that property, and which is coincidentally how I got into Mezco. But I remember getting knockoffs. I found them on Wish of the movie turtles and be like, holy shit. Like you said, the detail, like they look exactly like them. Um, it's just insane. And so I'm with you. Those are like, even now I have one set for each movie. And I'm like, do I really need the first movie? Because I mean, again, if you're talking like, what's your favorite? Like Secret of the Ooze is probably all of our favorite movies, but it's not the best, but it
No.
is like the favorite. Um, but I'm like, do I need the first turtles? But I'm like, yeah, I do. I gotta have them. So it's kind of weird, but on that subject of just like buying what you like, right? So I think you make a really good point about like Star Wars. So Star Wars, I try to stick to droids like Darth Vader, like the main characters. I try not to just buy like generals and stuff for background characters or go too hard with um, army building or whatever. And I do have way too many Mandalorians. Like I think that's kind of like the main thing that I buy, but they're generally like not good figures either. I think that that's the problem with Black Series is like they're all limited. They all just have trigger fingers. They're kind of like not good figures, but I'm a sucker for droids and stuff. Um, but I think some of the other things, like I have too many figures, but because I like too many properties. And for me, when I was a kid, I wanted to be like a toy designer because I love the idea of like, oh, here's a cartoon. Holy shit, here's the thing from that cartoon. I get to play with this thing from the cartoon. And
Hmm.
so now, like I try to I try to limit some things. Like there's this game near Automata. It has a scantily clad, long-legged android in it. And I was like, I want this figure because I like the game and she's a badass in the game. But I'm also like, I don't want anybody to be like questioning why I have this scantily clad figure, right? But I went ahead and bought it because I really like the property. But so I try to limit myself in those areas. But it's really, really difficult trying to decide what you like best. Like
Yeah. Yeah.
Dragon Ball Z, for example, I try to just buy the core members. I don't go too crazy. Like I do have a Frieza, and I was like, well, maybe I can get a Dodoria and what's the green guy. I was like, maybe I
Cell.
can get those go. Yeah, maybe I can get the Zarbok. Is that what you said?
Cell.
No, no, no. I have Cell. Zarbok is the other. He's like
Oh,
the
you're talking
blue.
about the androids.
No, no, no. If Frieza had like his two main guys, he had like the pink crab looking dude, and then he had Zarbok, which was like the green handsome guy that would turn into like the snake thing.
Oh, I think I remember.
Yeah. Um, it's like I love that earlier Dragon Ball Z stuff. Like I stop watching it once Namek explodes. I'm done after that. Even though I do like Cell. But I was like, oh, maybe I'll just get these few things, and then that expands and expands and expands. So with those properties, I really try to limit what I'm getting. I have like a Goku. I'd like to get a regular Krillin. I have the little Goku, Son Goku. I have an early Bulma. I bought Launch from Anthony Toymirth because I was like, oh yeah, he's selling it for $40. Why not? Um, which is another problem because I'm like, I'm trying to help a dude out. Like, yeah, you're trying to sell something. Sure, man. I got a little spare cash if there's such a thing. Um, yeah, let me help you out. And I think we all do that. Try to make each other deals. I bought those animated BTAS figures from you, and you gave me a good deal on that. And but anyway, yeah, it's just like I try not to be. The point of this is I try not to be a completionist, which I think will really get you in trouble.
Yep.
Um, but I also don't know if I'm helping myself by buying so many properties. So
Yeah, it might. Yeah, it just might be like the road is different, but the end path is the same.
yeah, yeah,
You know,
exactly. I don't know.
I don't
It's
know. You have
it,
to kind of, that's like a thing that you'll kind of work and figure out like as you go. Like I have like 3, 4 like Marvel Legends, right? Like I have the 97 Logan, I have the Cyclops, I have the Gambit, I have the Rogue. It's like, do I need, like, as cool as that stuff is, as awesome, like, do I need any of the other stuff? Like probably. So like I'm good off the X-Men stuff. Like I have a Bishop. Um like the wrestling, like I really like a lot of the Attitude Era like wrestling. Like I'll walk through the aisle, I'm like, oh man, this Shawn Michaels is awesome. I love Shawn, but it's like I'm good on it. Like the same thing with the Batman the Animated Series.
yeah.
Like I really liked a lot of that stuff, but again, it was just here.
I think if those figures move better, they would be more enticing.
Yes, no question,
Um, yeah,
no question.
which, which I think McFarlane, as much shit as we all give him, like he uses old molds, but the newer stuff that he's making, gives them like ball joints in the hips and stuff, which is better.
Good.
But
Yeah,
they still they're just a notch above a 5 point articulation figure. But I don't know. They have a style that I feel like helps them a lot too. But it is weird, and I'm like that. So I have 3 wrestling figures. I have Mr. T, uh, a Randy Savage, and a Hulk Hogan because those were like growing up. Those were my guys.
yeah.
Well, Mr. T just because it's Mr. T, but um, it's weird. And like if they didn't take up so much room, I'd probably have the full suite of gargoyles too, because I really love that cartoon. Like all that stuff growing up, but they're so big.
See, I'm thinking of selling, like, so I have a Goliath open, I have a Lexington, and I have a lot of stuff like just in the box,
Uh huh.
like a
Yeah.
Lisa, but I'm just like I don't know. Maybe it's because my photography is so focused. It's like everything that I shoot, it's got like some kind of turtle in there. And it's like, and it's like I'm like I can do, like all of us can do, like if you picked like 20 figures to shoot for the next year, I guarantee you'll think of something
Yeah.
consistently, like a new way to use them, like a new. So yeah, I think we definitely like overindulge on some of the stuff. Like I can't. I'm scared to ask you how much stuff you have that you don't photograph, and you probably just like it because it's cool. Yeah, but I definitely, when I see like the Batman the Animated Series stuff like this year, I'm like, all right, when's the last, like, they're cool, they're awesome. I love the property, I love the cartoon, but I'd rather just give him someone who will. Let me give him someone who will photograph him instead.
Yeah. For me, a lot of times I've taken photos of like everything that's in here, except for maybe my Back to the Future stuff. I've taken photos of. Um, there's a few enemies, maybe some RoboCop shit that I haven't, but generally I'll take one or two and then it sits on the shelf because I just haven't thought of anything else. Or I take a photo and I don't like it and it just nobody ever sees it. So, I mean, I do my best. I'm like you. like in my mind, I'm like Indian in the cupboard, right? I think of it like that. Like these are sentient things and they sit on my shelf and they're sad when I don't take a photo of them. So if they sit for too long, I'm like, this one's depressed. It probably needs to go to somebody else. And we've talked about this in the past. If it moves into a crate, like a storage thing, like I'll do that for army builders. Like I don't need a whole bunch of stormtroopers taking up my shelf space.
Yeah.
But um, if like it's a main property and it just goes in a box, it's probably time to get rid of it. Because you're gonna forget it's there and you'll probably rebuy it. Which we know people that do that, which is insane to me. Rebuying a figure that you already own because you forgot you had it.
That's nuts. That's not, absolutely nuts.
Yeah.
Again, at that point, you just have too much stuff, man.
Yeah, agreed. And like so you talked about this a little bit, this is more on the hobbyist side of things, but um when you buy army builders, if you buy army builders like foot or whatever, what's your limit on that? Do you just buy one? I mean like yeah, see we're the same. Three. Three's a good spot.
So you know what? I have broken the rule on it recently. So I have four of the elite ninjas,
Mm-hmm.
the Mirage. Four of them because I think that's the best foot soldier like
Yeah,
ever.
it's cool.
I have four of those, and I have like that foot enforcer, but he's just a different character that I just bought like the other day.
Yeah.
Um, but three really is, yeah. So like in the 2003 Turtle cartoon, like the four elites kind of go up against the turtles, and it's like, so that's kind of like what I had in my head. It's like, but typically three is my number. I have three of the blue guys,
Mm-hmm.
you know, three Sinjas. I only have two footbots
Yeah, same.
from the Ronin because I'm thinking, oh, and I have three movie foot soldiers. There's going to be a very rare case when you're gonna need to put, because again, what are we army building for?
Yeah.
Like for our hobby, it's a photo.
How do you fit it
Anything
all?
more than three,
Yeah.
it's crowding. That like the photo can't work. Like in this photo, this one behind me that you see, there's actually three foot soldiers here. You just can't fucking see the third one.
Yeah. Which is, on that point, that's part of the reason why I kind of limited myself there. Now, if I'll find them cheap, I probably have like four phase two stormtroopers that I bought at Ollie's because they were cheap. They were like $9. So I was like, yeah, okay. You could make like an army scene with just those guys. You can
Yep.
just use those. But um I 100% agree with that because if you're doing a successful crop, which you know I think you and I both do. I think you're better about setting up the photo as you want it to look from the get than I am because I kind of discover it along the way. um, but a lot of times I'll do this big ass setup, like all this stuff, and then I crop into the one turtle, which is like the best arrangement of that photo. um, but it's funny, I know a lot of people do that, um, crop in like that. It's kind of crazy. Like I did this whole setup just to have like Michelangelo, just to frame him in the tunnel.
Yeah, no. Yeah, this one, there is an alternate photo of this particular one that's behind me that you can see the third foot a little better. But I think it was like you or Casey or one of you guys. You were like, yeah, no, this photo is just better. And I kind of like this open space here with, I don't know, just kind of like shows depth in the room. It's like, oh, this wall has been broken. Like they're obviously under sewers, and it's some kind of, and this looks like some kind of exit. Like this kind of gave the photo like a more character than like just having another dude here. It was
Yeah.
like a little more interesting than just seeing another guy stand there. But yeah, I think the army building stuff is, again, man. If you're not doing the toy photography, now you're just buying the same figure again.
Yeah. Yeah, which is why, and I feel like NECA is kind of nefarious for this, but I've seen other places do this where they know you want to army build. Like, for example, the Crooked Ninja Turtle gang figures. They know you want to army build that. So they're not going to put two in a case. They're going to make you buy a Rock Soldier and a Crooked Ninja Turtle gang member. And they're going to make you do that 4 times to get the whole team, or however many were in the group, plus the leader and that little kid, which are like, I don't, this little
I have
kid.
three. I
Yeah.
have three.
So, that goes back to that Samurai Turtle. I'm like, so I need like 2 of these at least, right? Yeah, probably.
So full circle, right? Now we're back to the space and samurai pack. Um, initially, I'm only buying the one pack
Yeah.
because I want to pair the samurai up with Usagi Yojimbo, and then I have like another Usagi Yojimbo, maybe like customize that one, or so like two people in the photo, and you get like an enemy or two, like there's your photo.
Yeah.
They're like four is actually kind of a lot, right? The same thing with the space. Like I'll have one turtle and give me space Usagi.
Yeah. Yeah, it is funny, like turtles, as much as I love them, I usually stick to photoing them individually
I
or
noticed that. I
kind of
noticed
level it.
you rarely group them together.
It's just a lot to try to get in
It
focus
is.
all at once,
It is.
and to like, I don't know, it just depends on how artsy you're trying to get with it. Like, I've seen people use it well. I think the one that Sully, not a bird, not a plane,
Oh, that was so good.
he did one the other day, which was really fantastic. Um,
But even our collab, our collab was to try to use all four, and I think a lot of people did like a really nice job. Like so not only was it four, it was five characters in a shot because you had to include April. Like you
yeah,
killed that. You
that
framed it like really really nice. It didn't look clustered. Like it just kind of looked natural, right? But yeah, if you want to do the photography aspect, like there's a difference between like a good setup and like what can you actually get in a frame that like makes it a cool photo. But you really did a nice job, and I think a lot of the people really did do a nice job, but that it's very challenging.
yeah. Well, thank you, and I agree. Like, that was the one way that I was like, it was kind of tailored for what the challenge was.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, as far as like uh, catering to the voice actors, but it was also more like, okay, like how do I? Because I know we're going to see some battle scenes, and I don't want to do the same. Like, we have a group of 20 people all doing the same challenge, so how do I try to stand out? Which is funny because I think several people did kind of similar, like desk shots or whatever. But um, yeah, the four turtles all at once are pretty difficult to do. So I don't
Yeah.
know.
Yeah. Yeah. Even like Sully's shot of them four, because how does he have him? He has two turtles on the side, one turtle kind of facing the camera. It was Donnie. And then you have another one in the back. And and that shot is like perfectly fine with three of them. But again, you can't, if you're going to do three, you might as well do four.
Yeah, and I think it's like I've seen several like that where it's like some people can be kind of blurry in the background and it's fine. You know who the hell they are. Like,
Yeah.
it's not a big deal.
Yeah.
So I don't know. So what, from your point of view, just to wrap everything up, from your point of view, what advice would you give to people that probably spend too much on toys, or have, we have several friends that like they're redoing their toy rooms, and it's like, wow, like I thought I had a lot. um what advice do you have to them, or financial advice? I mean, anything. What are some parting words?
Financial advice: stop buying a lot of shit. I understand that I'm going to get like metaphysical and all life fee on you, but I understand that, any day, can be our last. So like enjoy it. But here's the thing, man, you can also enjoy other shit. Like
Hmm.
go take a walk. Like if you do not have like a significant other, life's a lot better when you kind of share it with somebody. Do something for someone else once in a while if you need to, if you have this itch of spending and doing stuff, right? Specifically toy related. Buy shit that you want. Um and if you do have a lot of toys, take them out of the if you're an inbox collector still, I mean, we've talked for the next hour. If I haven't convinced you yet, I'm saying it again. So look me up at TMNT 1987 and shoot me a DM and tell me otherwise. But I really do think you have other stuff that's going on. And I'm not saying that's, and that's why you're an inbox collector. There's other stuff you can buy to fulfill this thing. The boxes of toys, man, that's not, it's, it's not really, just take them out ultimately. People who are too scared to break toys, bro. If you break a figure, it's a $37 re-entry in, and we always we look for excuses to buy new stuff again. It's
So,
okay. Take them out, mess with them, have fun, take a photo, post it. We'll embrace you.
yeah,
Um,
just not a hand photo.
yes. Buy stuff that you really, 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 really love. And I think if you stop and look, if you haven't picked up a toy in a while, the one that you have, you shouldn't have bought it.
Yeah, it's time to
I
let
th-
that go.
I think maybe that's ultimately the takeaway, because that will tell you how much you really, really love it. Like you might think it's cool and it's like, yeah, this is impressive. The ones that you really love, you come back to always.
Hmm.
And if you have too much stuff and you haven't gone back to it, no, 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 you've gone back to it. You're just the stuff that you photograph regularly, you love the most.
Yeah, yeah, I agree. Like Mezco is always my number one. I always go back to those. I love
I
them.
wonder why? Because you love them.
Yeah. But I'm like you. In some senses, like Ninja Turtles probably my largest collection. I don't really feel like I need to have everything that they make, but I do buy a lot of it. And
Hey, I'm
yeah,
happy you have two turtles.
yeah. Finally have Toon. Well, I have finally have NECA Toon Turtles. I had the
Yeah, yeah,
superior SH Figure Arts versions.
yeah. Sure, 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 sure,
Uh,
sure.
uh
One toy question, and this is directly related to SH and NECA.
mhm,
Right?
mhm.
To you, to you, to you. What is more important? How they look or how they move?
Generally how they move to me.
Okay.
Because like so that was so there's the reason I wanted to get NECA is one, it does share more with like the cartoon aesthetic, and they generally have better accessories. I mean, the SH Figure Arts
Yeah.
only made those four, so NECA
So,
has the
so the line is just that. There
yeah,
is no line.
right.
Got it. No,
Um,
no. Yeah, yeah, you want it to be a little bit into the toy verse of. I mean, yeah, like I ultimately like I understand what you're saying. Um, However, I do think there is so like it's almost like a case study of like Batman the animated series.
mhm,
Like we know those look phenomenal.
yeah,
But the thing is the movement is so bad.
yeah,
Like the NECA movement is night and day compared to that. So I think if the NECA movement was as bad as Batman, then it would be like maybe, I wouldn't even really collect them like that. Again, I might have like one, two, but you're right. It is the NECA complete, like they're not really that expensive compared to, like, you can really compare them to, higher line figures, but
mhm.
they look so freaking good. Like they look so good, and the movement is still really good.
It is pretty good. In fact, I had one version. We had talked about this. I'd had one 4 pack that I bought, the Turtles in Disguise, but measuring them up against like the weightiness, because SH Figure Arts has like die-cast parts, it has double jointed elbows.
Hmm.
Measuring them up against the weightiness of that, I was like, these suck.
Yeah.
But having the Punk Turtles in hand, those are the first animated or NECA turtles that I've had that were the Toon Turtles. And I was like, okay, wait, I kind of like those actually have double jointed elbows. Um,
Mhm.
and they do feel a little more sturdy than the Turtles in Disguise that I had. So I was like, okay, I can get into this a little bit more. And then, I had some shit to trade, and a guy had a 4 pack of the that next wave, the lighter
These guys.
one. Yeah. So I was like, yeah, sure, might as well get those, even though the greens don't match up, so I can't switch them with the punk faces anyway. It's gonna look odd. I mean, I could Photoshop it, but um, anyway. So
No,
that's that.
it's definitely a fun set, and it'll kind of give you the. I mean, like if you have a chance to get the VHS. I mean, again, they are essentially turtles in disguise, but the paint is definitely a lot better. It's
Yeah,
definitely a lot better, and ultimately, it is the same figure. Um, yeah, paint and your swappability with other stuff, is a lot better. And especially if you're gonna get the samurai,
yeah,
you might have to, and maybe just do that one kind of at a leisurely pace. So that the samurai one is going to be Donatello and Mikey. So it's like maybe, and give me the Donatello with the spinning bow. It's like you almost need like a ranking system of like how,
oh
what do I
sure,
want? Like Donnie has the cool bow. He's got the monkey accessory. He's got the little broken machine. So he's got. I would place that one like at the top. Mikey's got the chef hat. He also, yeah, he's got the chef hat. He's got like a little fish tank. He's got the apron,
yeah,
and all of them have these like cool pizzas. So that would probably be that one. Maybe Raph and then Leo. Leo has like, yeah, yeah. I think,
he's he's a cop. He's got cop stuff. Um,
but yeah, it's NECA stuff is great, man.
well,
It's
and I think to your point on like Donatello, if you were to just get one, he seems to have the best accessories. And Donatello, not necessarily in the cartoons, but in every other toy line, he's like the darkest skinned, right? So having a darker Donatello doesn't seem like such an outlier unless you're just like, no, if it didn't exist on the screen, I can't do it.
man.
Uh,
I've taken pictures where I've mixed and matched, like where it's like Mike, it's like light Mikey, darker Donnie. It's like I've had. So that's like the other kind of cool thing you can do, like in like the collab we just did. Like I used the punk turtles. I did two of those, and then I had disguise for the other two. So it's like no one's gonna. There's no police.
yeah,
There is a there is a prop, like the playmate stuff was like different.
yeah,
Even this stuff. They're slightly different. So it's like ultimately, I don't. You're an incredible photographer, um, so I think the photos are just going to be amazing. And plus, man, me as like a fan of your work, I'm excited that you got them. I'm so excited, and I I will say, like, even though you say like these are superior, I think that like objective versus subjective is gonna like come into play. I think you're gonna take a photo of these green guys, and then the punk ones, you're gonna be, ooh, why is this picture so good? Why is this picture so good? Because it looks just like the damn cartoon. And then you might pull those like figure arts one aside,
oh yeah,
even though they're objectively better.
they're at the
And
bottom
then
of the
you're
shelf
just
now already.
like, so this is like the hottest girl in the world. Like she might not be the smartest, she might not laugh at all of your jokes, but she really, she's like pretty solid in those areas, but she's like really hot. The figure arts one, like she's not as hot, but she's like really smart and like really gets you, so it's like,
So yeah, yeah. Are we just being shallow with the maybe? But yeah, it's
I'm calling it. I'm calling it. You're really good. Once you start photographing these, you're gonna be like, damn, why does it look so good?
I had some fun messing with them out of the box. The one thing as always with NECAs, I was like, God, I hope this doesn't break.
Yeah, that's fair. That's
But
fair.
yeah, I don't know. We kind of went on a tangent, which is fine because we do that here. But I think if my parting words to any collectors that are kind of struggling with how they collect or what they collect or how much money they're investing in that, whatever. I agree with DJ that, and I need to follow this advice, is like really buckle down on what you want. Like collect just one thing. I think Dan Larson from Toy Galaxy said the same thing. It's like you have to decide what you're gonna invest in, because like if you're a completionist, you can't just buy three figures of a line. Like you can't do that. So just don't ever dive into that line. Don't ever do it, even if it's cheap. Like, what are you gonna do with it after you buy it? Um, and come up with an idea for payment plan. if like if you're spending over $100 on a figure, really find out like, okay, I can buy one of these a month. I can buy one every 2 months. Like really,
Yeah, like so I really believe that people don't have budgets for toy spending. I truly believe it.
yeah,
If that's the case, man, uh, you really should have one.
yeah,
You
definitely,
should really have one. Um, but then if you kind of want to go the other way, right? So it's like let me focus on paying some stuff back, bro. Just play with some of the toys you haven't played in a while. You're gonna get like an enjoyment out of it while you take care of kind of the damage. What's been done has been done. You
yeah,
can only like course. So it's like let me try to course correct a little here. It's like maybe I'll shrink my budget down to a freaking like one GI Joe a month. Like those figures are really fun.
yeah.
It's
GI
and that's
Joe is good.
and that's $25, man. Like ultimately here's the thing, right? If you can't afford a $40 toy a month, let's even round it up to 50. If you can't afford a $50 toy, you should not be in this hobby. I'm sorry.
Yeah. I would also say on the opposite side of the, well, maybe not the opposite side of that, but like be careful what that big investment's going to be for you. For me, I think the first figure that I spent over $100 on was like an Iron Giant Mondo toy. It's like, pretty large. And I spent $200 on that one. And I'd been saving up for it. So it wasn't a big deal, but that was like, oh my God, this is the biggest investment I've ever made in a toy. And now, we bought the turtles were 400. I bought a turtle van that was 300 with shipping. Which Hops and Heroes, thank you for that awesome like deal on that. But because that's MSRP. But I mean, like, you know, just really be careful how you quote unquote break the seal, because otherwise you're going to be, if it's something like Hot Toys and you are a completionist, you're going to be effed quick, because those are like $250 a pop at the low end. Mezco, don't get into Rumble Society unless you can just buy the next one that comes out, because you don't want to backlog those. Um, yeah, just be careful. Budgeting, I would say, if there was one thing that we have in common on this, is budget yourself. Figure out what your what
Yes.
your spending is going to be, and
And like and ultimately like you'll find some of this stuff, man. Like eventually like you'll come up on a good deal like if you're patient. Like people are buying turtles for 6, 7, 8, even
yeah,
$900. Like you'll I think like relatively you should be like I saw someone was offering it for 500, you know, like comparatively like that's a better deal than $900, $700, right? Like I think eventually like you'll find it, but man, do not like there's ways to have fun in this hobby, man. Like if you just itching to buy fucking GI Joe, there's a lot of cool shit for $25. Go to a comic book store or a toy store that they sell like old kind of used like man, I saw Marvel Legends Yandu. Like that figure is so
oh wow,
expensive because it's such a cool toy. Like it was a little pricey. It was like $60, right? Like I almost bought it, but I was just like, no, like I'm cool. But like let's say if I passed on like four or $500 turtles, I'd be like, you know what? I'll get this like Yandu. This shit's cool.
yeah,
You know?
Reward
Just do
yourself for
not,
being good.
yeah, do not jump off the balcony because you can't afford it, or because it is expensive. Like, don't do it. If you can't afford a $40-$50 toy a month, probably shouldn't be doing it anyway.
Yeah.
I don't want to like sound preachy or daddy or judgy. If you're a box collector, again, something's wrong with you. Um, but I think the other takeaway, so like budget, right? Be careful, buy what you love, bro. Go back to the old stuff. The old shit is cool because you bought it in the first place. It's probably cool still. Just like spend a little more time with it, and you'll get that like joy out of it still.
Yeah. It's
Because it's a statue thing now. It's just been in the corner. You've looked at it. Pick it up. That's
yeah. Don't neglect it like you're probably neglecting other things in your life. Um,
it.
uh, okay. So on that point, if you're coming up with a budget and there's something you really want, you can save for it. If it's not there, it wasn't meant to be. If it's something like Mofex, it's going to come back around. So don't drop a shit ton of money on something because they'll probably re-release it in a couple of years. Just
Yep.
be patient.
Yep.
And like if it's Ninja Turtle related, like this Mezco thing, we've been seeing that. Dude, that property prints money. They're not just going to make one set. There's
Yep.
no fucking way.
No way. No way.
Um, so just wait for the next one.
Yep.
Mezco does that. They did that with Batman. They did that with they made 2 Nosferatu figures. Nosferatu, man. Like, they'll make
And people
another
bought
set.
it, huh?
Yeah. So anyway, we're circling the drain here. Jay, tell the people where they can find you.
Chicago, Illinois.
Don't go find him though. You only
Yeah.
can.
Hey, I'm excited that you're coming in a month, right?
Yeah, should be.
Just let me know when you finalize it. TMNT 1987, TMNT underscore 1987 underscore. So in the episode, you better like link me because no one in their mind like listens to a podcast and like, wait, what did that guy say?
Yeah,
And then they like type
underscore.
it in. So no one's gonna do that.
For everything else, you can look at Wednesday Toast. If you subscribe, that'd be awesome. We have usually uncut Patreon stuff. I'm not going to put this one because I don't do all that. Lex does all that. But there's not a lot that we said that won't be in the episode. So you can find Lex at Wednesday Pool everywhere. Me as Sime_on_toast. Much like you said, Jay, I don't think anybody looks that up or wants to type in an underscore, but that's what I'm going to leave it at. And like I said, we're circling the drain. Jay, thank you so much for being here today and talking toys with me. And for all you people out there struggling with collecting of any kind, comics, toys, or whatever, we're here as your support group. So we will see you next time.
You're